Hey guys, and welcome back. So today's video is going to be pretty simple, since I wanted to take you guys with me, showing you very simple how I enjoy my pipe. I've gotten this question many times, and you have a lot of videos online talking about how you should smoke a pipe. And if you're just starting out, it's a very good idea to go online, get some inspiration, and try different stuff out. But the essence of the point that I'm trying to get across in this video is that you're constantly evolving your techniques and how you smoked your pipe when you first started out, or even years ago up until now. Personally, even though I've been doing this for years now, I'm still adjusting things here and there. So I just wanted to show you basically how I do it. And it's going to be funny to see if I make this video in a year or two again, if anything has happened. So grab your pipe, guys, and just enjoy this time with me. So this is how I do it. So you can either watch this video if you're trying to learn how to smoke a pipe, but you could also just watch it and maybe just see how I do it, because people do this very, very differently. So what I need, first of all, I need time. If I'm gonna sit down and enjoy and smoke a pipe, it means that I'm gonna be sitting down probably. It means that I have some time on my own, and it means that I'm probably in a good mood, and I just feel like spacing out and really to kind of to be calm and relaxed. I've tried to be smoking a pipe while doing yard work or being social. Sometimes I have a few close friends that also smoke a pipe, and that's very enjoyable to just sit down quietly and have a good talk. But mostly I enjoy my pipe in my own company, and to just yeah, let the thoughts just take you wherever they're gonna go. So I need some time, and then you need your pipe, and there's many variables to how you're smoking your pipe, and that topic is not for this video. Just pick your favorite pipe, or the pipe that you have, or just take a pipe. So today I'm gonna be smoking my my Castello pipe. If you've seen my recent videos, you've seen this a lot. These days this is my best friend. So obviously then you need some tobacco. And I sound like I'm repeating myself, since this is the tobacco that I've been smoking in many recent videos. It is some Ken Byron Ventures Merge Engine Santa Drive. And obviously pipe tobacco is a topic of itself, but the only thing that I will say in this video is the tobacco that you're going to be smoking. If you aren't really advanced, please listen to my tip that pipe tobacco is 9 out of 10 times way more moist than what you want it and able to smoke it and really enjoy it. Issues like tongue bite, or a wet and soggy pipe, harsh tasting, or whatever, many of these things comes down to the pipe tobacco being too wet. So I just want to urge you to say that you shouldn't dry out your pipe tobacco completely. If it's crunchy and it breaks, it's obviously too dry. But it needs to have a little bit of a cornflakesy, crunchy sound without at all being break. It still needs to be spongy. But if it doesn't have any sound at all, listen. It's too wet. So we'll have to experiment, obviously, but that is the only thing I'm going to be saying about the tobacco today. If it's too wet, very simple, just leave it out or leave the lid open or whatever, and get back to it, and then you will have drier pipe tobacco. If you get it too dry, watch a video about how you rehydrate pipe tobacco. So how I pack my pipe. And this is religion itself. You can do this in so many ways, and this is something that I've changed a lot. How I do it these days, I try to keep it very simple. You're probably not gonna, well, maybe we can. You know what? Let's do it. We will adjust the camera and I'll take you through how I do it. So first before we actually fill the pipe, make sure that it's clean. Run a pipe cleaner through it. Maybe blow it. But more or less, I'm cleaning my pipes after I use them. So when I pick it up, it's ready to go. The first thing I do is that I take some tobacco, and this depends on the size of the ball, obviously. But the first thing I do is that I fill the pipe without at all pressing down. Just so the the tobacco is filling the entire chamber loosely. That's more or less like this. Then I take another pinch, and this is like closing the lid. So I take a pinch, and then I'm starting to force it together so it gets tight on the top. And then I press it down like this. So the first layer was not at all pushing on the sides, it was just falling to the bottom. The second fill, I mushed together and push it down so it's squeezing on the sides, so it stays. So if I'm putting the pipe upside down, it stays. If I put the pipe upside down after the first fill, it would have been falling out. So now I have a spongy feeling here. And then the last thing I do, I take a pipe tool, and we'll talk about this later, but I use a round piece of wood, and I just press it and like press towards the outer side, so there's nothing sticking out. So that's basically what I do filling the pipe. And let's get back here. So now we have filled the pipe and we're ready to go. So now we check the draw, and this is the cold draw without lighting the tobacco. If you stuff too little tobacco into it, it feels like the pipe is empty. If you can't draw it at all, you messed it up. Take all the tobacco out and go again. What I'm looking for here is a little resistance. Sometimes you feel that there's tobacco, and this is because I draw it dry. There was just a little piece of tobacco that was sitting on the hole where you draw the air in. I just put a pipe cleaner in to remove that piece of tobacco, and the pipe draws again. There we go. What else do you need? You need a pipe tool of some sort. I've went through phases where I'm just tamping my pipe with my fingers. It works perfectly, but you burn your fingers and you get very dirty fingers. So you need some kind of a tool that you can knock down the ash when smoking the pipe. And you do this in order to keep smoking the pipe without having to light it all the time. Because what happens when you smoke your pipe, on top you're creating ash, and the burning the cherry, what is calling the pot of the tobacco that is burning, it needs to be pushed down just slightly in order to have fresh tobacco to catch onto. And that's where you tamp your pipe. You tamp the ash down. You also need the tamper. I'm just using a round piece of wood, and this is what works for me. You have the pipe tools, the check tools, the metal things. They work great. I just rather prefer this. I'm using my pipe tool, my pipe tamper, a lot when I'm lighting the pipe, and you'll see this in a minute. So, you need a tamper. Then I have some kind of a tray so I can put my pipe down. I also use this if I'm smoking flakes or coins, because I rub out the tobacco inside the tray and I fill the pipe from here. Or if I'm going to be ashing the pipe when I'm smoking it, I can ash it into this. And this tray also contains my pipe tool and my lighter when I'm not smoking. So I have some place to lay my stuff. And then lastly, or second to last, you need a pipe cleaner for when you're done smoking, or if you have too much moisture, which you should try to avoid, but it can happen. And lastly, you need some kind of a beverage. And I actually forgot one, because there's two things, and two things only, that I enjoy while smoking a pipe. Either I enjoy a cool, fishy drink, like a Diet Coke, or sparkling water, or something that refreshes your mouth, or what I will enjoy today, since it's in the afternoon, I just forgot it. Excuse me. A nice big mug of fresh coffee. And I'm drinking my coffee today out of my big Royal Copenhagen mug, which is stamped 1988, which is my birth year. So that is just a coffee mug that I appreciate a lot. The only two things that I will drink while smoking a pipe, nine times out of 10, is coffee or a carbonated drink. I very rarely enjoy beer or wine or anything else, but you need something to drink. That just enhances the experience smoking a pipe. That's what I think personally anyways. Something to keep your mouth cool and combines with the flavor of the pipe tobacco, depending on what kind of pipe tobacco that you're smoking, which is not a topic for this video. So we're all set. Now it comes to how I'm lighting my pipe. So mostly pay attention to what I'm doing by looking at what I'm doing. I can explain it, but you have to light the tobacco. In order to get it burning very decently, I'm lighting my tobacco multiple times in the beginning while using my tamper, and I'll explain as I go. So first of all, I'm lighting my tobacco while drawing, and then try to get as much of the top of the tobacco to get lit in the first go. And the first go is not to get the pipe to go, or the first lighting is not gonna get the pipe going, but you're starting to char the top of the tobacco. So it looks like this. And the lighter, I've been using Zippo lighters, matches for a long time. I just end up with a simple butane lighter. The reason being, it does not have a taste, and this specific butane lighter is designed for pipe smokers because it has like a long tip, which makes it very, very easy to reach the ball and reach the tobacco. I like the Zippo lighter as the tool, but it tastes to me a little bit like gasoline, and I think it's difficult to get the flame where it needs to go. So even though I would prefer a Zippo lighter, since that tool is just amazing, it doesn't work as great as this. Matches is the second best, which is perfect, but you have to have them around and you have to have a place to leave the burnt matches, and this is just more practical. So let's light it up. So you're drawing in and setting the tobacco on fire, basically. What then happens is the tobacco rises. If you pack the pipe very firmly, it will not rise very much, but it kind of jumps up when you're lighting it. So now you take your pipe tool, you tamp it down, so you have a straight top again. Then you do the same thing again. I'm paying a lot of attention to not trying to torch the top of the rim, because on specifically on this pipe, when you have a polished pipe with a straight edge on top, if you all the time scorch the top of the ball, you'll end up with a very black rim, and that way over the years you will destroy your pipe and it will get burned in the edges. I'm trying to avoid this. This is just a personal preference. If you don't like your pipe, you can just ignore it. So we will do it again third time. And basically when the tobacco stops rising when you're lighting it, that is when you're starting to build a cherry. You can see now the pipe is starting to go on its own. And since I'm now talking in between, normally the pipe would be going at this point. If it doesn't, just light it again. There we go. The pipe is lit. And the tobacco doesn't rise anymore. I can see that I have a white layer of ash on top. My cat wants in. 1 second. And from here on, it's all about getting into the rhythm and getting one with the pipe. If you are only paying attention to the pipe and just letting the thoughts go, enjoying the pipe, I can smoke it without letting it go out at all, but if you need to go do something, or your phone rings or whatever, you can just put the pipe down and you can relight it whenever you're going to go back to it. But part of enjoying a pipe is keeping it lit, since if you leave it to rest, it will just go out on its own. A pipe like this is not suited for clenching when you have it in your mouth, like this. It's just too big for that. But with smaller pipes, I can enjoy it with just having it hang in my mouth, but I used to do that more back in the days. So, how you keep it lit is paying attention to the cherry, which is there's a very small part of the tobacco that is burning, and it's burning its way down in the bowl. And you do this by sipping on the pipe. So what I'm doing is that I'm taking very small puffs, like in 2s and 3s and 4s. And that is where I'm tasting and enjoying the tobacco. And when I'm puffing, I'm releasing the tobacco, the smoke out of my mouth in front of my face. I'm not blowing it far out. And I do this in order to really experience the tobacco in more ways, because when the smoke is going around my face, I'm smelling the smoke of the tobacco together with tasting it in my mouth, and I get a full flavor experience through nose and mouth. But you have to sip it. If you draw aggressively on it, you will overheat the pipe and you will burn the tobacco way too hot, and you will lose the flavor. So the technique that you are chasing here is that perfect sweet spot where you just get flavor bombs out of the smoke. And this is something that you will not be able to tell the difference from in the very beginning when you just start out smoking a pipe. But the flavor will change drastically depending on how you smoke it. And when you need to get the sweetness out of Virginia tobacco or English tobacco, or finding the perfect melding of flavors in a aromatic pipe tobacco, you have to control the heat and you have to really sip it. Some tobaccos you can draw on very more aggressively without it overheating, and they are more forgiving. But the key is sipping and finding the rhythm and keeping calm. And then ever so often, you know, when you're drawing the pipe, you have air going from outside, lighting the cherry, and then you have the smoke going this way all the time. Sometimes you do the opposite. Very lightly you blow into your pipe, but you do not blow like you're blowing balloons. So you do not blow with your lungs like going whew. You blow like you push air out of your mouth with your tongue. And then you will see smoke coming out of the bowl like this. I'm not blowing, but now. That means that you are feeding the pipe with oxygen, both going in and going out. And oxygen is what has to be combined. You have to have air and smoke going together in order to get the flavor out of it. But you also need the oxygen together with the burning tobacco in order to keep it lit. So more or less, if you're starting a campfire, you need to have a good airflow in order to the fire burning clean without a lot of smoke. It's a little bit the same here. You have a small fire going in your pipe, which is not a fire, but it's only glowing. But you're constantly feeding it with oxygen. And then ever so often I take a sip of something that I'm drinking, refreshing my mouth, and that nice coffee taste goes together with various pipe blends, and some I would rather have the cold drinks, and or depending on the weather and the time of year. And since I mostly enjoy this in my own company, also has to do with I never smoke my pipe while watching TV or sitting in front of the computer, because then I'm paying attention to something else. I don't personally smoke my pipe because I'm in need of nicotine and I'm kind of dependent on it. I do it because I really enjoy it. I enjoy the whole process of it. So I want to be able to take everything in when I'm actually doing it. And if I don't have time to actually really experience it, I would rather not do it, because I can go without it. It's not like food and water to me. I don't need it, but I really, really enjoy it. And without going into the health side of this topic, obviously, I've said this on other occasions, even though I could argue that this is good for my mental health, which I truly believe that it is, I don't think it's very good for my physical health. Isolated scene, but let's not jump into that whole, let's not open Pandora's box on this video. I just wanted to mention that personally, if I'm not enjoying my smoke, I don't think it's worth it. So, I've been smoking for like 5 or 10 minutes, and now I have a layer of ash. So I just very slightly knock down the ash. I do this with kind of a twisting motion with my tool, so I don't have to press as hard. I just like itch the top like this, so I'm getting the ash to go down. And then if I have a lot of loose ash, I dump it into my tray. And the reason that I'm knocking the ash down is to keep keep the pipe lit. And sometimes it helps to do it to draw on it while you're tamping like this. So in order, when you push the tobacco down to the fresh, the cherry down to the fresh tobacco, you are igniting the cherry and igniting the fresh tobacco. So you're kind of helping the process while drawing and tamping. The reason that I also dump the burnt tobacco and the ash out of the pipe is because it creates a layer on top which is closing for the airflow. So if you have too much ash on top, you are having trouble keeping the pipe lit when you're smoking the ball further down. So I just ever so often just knock out the burned ash. Now I could just keep smoking my pipe without relighting, but sometimes I can see that I'm burning the tobacco a little bit unevenly. Right now I can see that I'm burning it mostly in the middle, and I have some part on the side that isn't burning, so I'm like leaving a pot of fresh tobacco on top. When that happens, sometimes I just relight the top even though it's burning, to help burn the entire top of the ball. And this is mostly happens on with pipes that has a very wide ball, and therefore is a little bit more difficult to smoke a wider ball. So a very narrow ball will easily just smoke all the way down and having the entire surface burning. So I'll just relight the top. And tamp it down to have a flat surface. So the part of the tobacco that wasn't burning down, I'm pushing down to the ember. And the reason that you stuff the pipe very loosely at the bottom and tight on the top is because it's easier to light that way. And if you have lighter layers at the bottom, it's easier to keep the light, to keep the pipe going down in the bowl. And again, everything I'm saying here is just how I do it. There's 1,000 ways. So then I actually do something that people say that you should never do. So I might step on someone's toes now, since I actually pretty often I remove my stem from my pipe while I'm smoking. But be careful here, depending on the pipe that you have. Since people tell you you should never remove the stem from your pipe while it's warm or while you're smoking, because you risk damaging both the stem or the shank, and you can end up cracking the shank. And I think that is true. I have just never had it happen. What can happen is that when you're smoking the pipe, it gets warm and the stem gets tight on the shank because the wood is expanding. And also the stem is expanding inside of the shank, so it gets tight, and if it gets so tight that you cannot remove it and you force it, you could crack the shank. The pipes that I have, which is very many, obviously if it was so tight that I couldn't remove it without much force, then I wouldn't remove it. But the reason that I actually do is because I want to check the moisture. Moisture in your pipes is a whole topic of itself, and I think I made a few videos about how to control moisture. By moisture I mean that the pipe gets slightly wet inside when you're smoking it. That is just how it is. But you want to control this. So very wet tobacco or bad technique will create a lot of condensation inside of the shank, and it can end up condensating and start running, and you get this icky, gooey water in your mouth, which is horrible. But sometimes I want to check how I'm doing condensation wise, and I could do this without removing the stem very easily. I could just take a pipe cleaner and run through it all the way to the bottom. Now it's in here, and remove it. And then I feel if it's very, very wet, I've pulled out a lot of moisture. And if you have trouble with moisture buildup while smoking a pipe, just take a few pipe cleaners and every 10 minutes or so run a pipe cleaner through it and remove the moisture, because then you will never have it building up or start running in the pipe. But on this pipe and many of the pipes that I smoke, I can just remove the stem. But take it on your own risk if this is something that you want to do. I have never destroyed a pipe like this, but do it on your own risk. So on this pipe, the stem is actually pretty loose when it's cold, and the tightness just gets perfect when I'm smoking it. If you have a pipe that's very tight, cold, it's probably too tight to remove the stem while smoking. But what I would do sometimes, if I would just remove the stem and I do like this, and I will see that there's a little bit of moisture on the tip, and I will just blow the stem out. If there's a little bit of moisture, and remove that, and I'll just look at the shank if there's not a buildup, and I'll re-enter the stem. And I know that I'm probably very alone with this habit, and I don't think that I should recommend it. Maybe it's a bad habit, but this video is showing how I do it. So I actually, more or less on every smoke, a few times during the smoke, I'm removing the stem to see how I'm doing on moisture. So while talking, my pipe started to go out a little bit. I still have a little cherry going. I could do one or two things now. I could start drawing on it aggressively, like blowing on a fire to get it going, and that would relight the pipe. Or I could just relight it. Now my cat wants out. Come on. My cat knows that it's about dinner time, so. Anyways, the point that I'm trying to say here is if your pipe goes out, don't stress it. You just relight it. It's not a sport about not having a pipe that goes out. It's not a smoking contest. So some people make a big thing out of that the pipe shouldn't go out. Don't stress it, just relight it. And tamp it down. If you start to get a gurgle because of moisture buildup down at the draw hole, because moisture collects down here, just take the pipe cleaner, run it through it all the way to the bottom of the bowl, and you'll suck that moisture out. Just get rid of it. But I will urge you, if you have this trouble all the time, try to fix it instead of just fixing the symptoms like removing the moisture. Try to figure out how you can smoke your pipe without having this gurgle all the time. It can be either too wet of tobacco, it can be a bad pipe, mostly it's going to be the tobacco, and then it could be your technique. Since this is a pretty big bowl, it will probably, with my cadence, take around an hour to smoke this pipe all the way down. So what I do, if I'm not going to be smoking the whole bowl in one sitting, if I get interrupted, which happens on many occasions to me since I have kids and stuff can happen, I just put the pipe down and go whatever, and I let it go out, and I can just relight the pipe in an hour when I want to smoke it again, or even tomorrow. Sometimes actually that I found out that when I relight my pipe tobacco the day after it has been staying in the bowl, sometimes I get the most amazing flavor, and I think that has to do with the tobacco even drying out more, and that's just something that I've experienced. So you don't have to smoke the whole thing in one go. So from here on, you just repeat the process of tamping down and gliding, and you basically just enjoy it. And whenever you stop enjoying it, put the pipe down and go on with your day. So, when I'm done smoking my pipe, I just do a few things, and I urge you to take good care of your pipes. So, obviously, knock out the ash. If there's tobacco left in the ball, remove it. Take a pipe cleaner and clean the stem, clean the shank so it's dry. Then what I do is I make sure that I don't have loose tobacco or ash in the ball. I want it to be completely clean, so I actually take a piece of paper towel and run through the ball, since I like to have a buildup of carbon inside of the ball. Obviously, that is what is the material that is building up inside of your pipe, which will eventually be so thick that you have to ream it out. But sometimes you'll have small pieces of tobacco sitting on the sides of the ball, and you could just leave that. I just clean the ball pretty thoroughly, and therefore keeping the buildup of carbon to a minimum, since I don't personally enjoy to have the carbon buildup very big in the ball. And then you leave the pipe to rest. Since the pipe is now warm and it has been sucking up some of the moisture from the burning, and I wouldn't recommend that you, if you're going to be smoking a pipe later the same day, you shouldn't take the same pipe. That's just personal preference. Me, I only smoke a pipe once a day at max, so I never have this issue of having to take another pipe the same day, because I can smoke the same pipe every day because I only smoke once a day. But if you smoke multiple times a day, I would recommend that you take different pipes. They need to rest. So for me, this pipe will be ready to smoke again tomorrow, 24 hours later. It will be completely dry and cool, and the theory behind this switching out pipes is that if you smoke the same pipe back to back and you overuse it, if it's not gonna dry out completely and you have some of the moisture building up from the previous smoke and you just build up like this, eventually you'll end up with a sour pipe because it never dries out and you're carrying over moisture from smoke to smoke, and eventually the pipe ends up being soggy and you will end up with a sour and wet pipe, which isn't pleasurable, and that way you can also risk destroying the pipe. So I think that's it, guys. That's more or less how I enjoy my pipe, and that is the process that I'm doing these days. And I found that that is a process that evolves over time, so it is just how I do it per date. And I really enjoy my pipes these days. I go through phases where I also enjoy a cigar from time to time, and that goes from back and forth from doing phases. But